The universal practice for lighting Chanukah candles is we start with one on the first night and add an additional light each night until we get to 8. This is the view in the Talmud of Beit Hillel, the school of Hillel, who feels that our lighting each night corresponds to the Yamim Hayotzin. We keep track of the days that are passing by, that we're observing. And what's also important is Ma'alim Ba'Kodesh Ve'ein Moridin, always to go higher, to have more light and not to decrease. So what about Beit Shammai? Why should we start with 8 and go all the way down to 1? So one rationale is Yamim Hanichnasin. For Beit Shammai, we're keeping track of the days that are left. And another explanation is that Beit Shammai connects the lighting on Chanukah to the sacrifices on the holiday of Sukkot, which start with a greater number and decrease over the course of the holiday. And I've always felt that Beit Hillel makes a lot of sense, and that's what we practice. But can we understand what's underneath this dispute? What is the deeper meaning to this machloket between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel? And even though we know it's all about increasing in more and progress, what can we learn from this dispute between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel? First, we have to recognize that, in general, the worldviews of the school of Shammai and the school of Hillel seem to come from different directions. Beit Shammai, more often than not, is the more strict opinion, looking to try and idealize a situation. Beit Hillel, more realistic, taking it the way it is. And so even in this dispute as well, we see that Beit Shammai having a loftier, idealistic worldview, while Beit Hillel recognizing the reality. So one approach that's given is that Beit Shammai feels that the Chanukah observance, the lighting of the candles, recognizing the military victory. The military victory, the impact of that victory was felt most on V-Day, not Vaccine Day, Victory Day, the day of the defeat of the Assyrian Greeks. And therefore, that day has most of the light, and the light goes down subsequently. For Beit Hillel, we're lighting because of the miracle. And the miracle, the impact of that miracle, that holiness increases each and every day. If we dig a little bit more deeply, Rabbi Chaim Friedlander suggests that these are two worldviews on the existential nature of galut, of exile. For Beit Shammai, as we get further and further away from the last time we were together with the temple in Jerusalem, the connection between the Jews and Judaism, between the Jews and God, weakens over time. And so while Chanukah represents a bright spot, that light is not destined to last, and therefore we light a decreasing number of candles. For Beit Hillel, the Jews endure, and that itself is reason to celebrate. Each generation, further and further after the destruction, each generation of exile, while sad, is a victory in and of itself and shows an ever-increasing amount of light that exists within the Jewish nation. We survived another generation. We moved on to the next chapter. So for Beit Hillel, even though the candles represent exile, we're always heading in the right direction. Third approach is presented by Rabbi Shmuel Borenstein, the author of the Shem Shmuel. And he looks at the effect of the inspirational moment. Chanukah was a major victory. It was an incredible moment for the Jewish nation at that time. However, such things aren't necessarily meant to last. And although there was a bright spot, that inspiration diminishes over time. Beit Shammai's approach is borne out if we look at the history of the Hashmonaim themselves. There was a victory, but it turned into squabbling, Hellenization, infighting, and ultimately an alliance with Rome, which ended their independence. And so the inspirational moment may be great, but that effect, that impact, diminishes, lessens over time. For Beit Hillel, Chanukah's influence, like light, continues to shine bright. And we increase the light to show that the power of the Chanukah celebration, the miracle, and our connection to it each and every generation is brightened by its impact. So we add light to show that that inspirational moment doesn't flicker over time, but continues to be even more and more relevant over time. I think this year in particular, we feel that in terms of how people are looking at a festival of lights. All cultures, other religions use a lot of light this time of year, whether it be the Chanukah lights for us, whether it be the holiday lights or Christmas lights for others, although some of the first Christmas lights were sold by Jews. This season is a season of darkness, whether it be outside in the weather or whether it be what we've been experiencing these last months. But when we look at the way we light the menorah, we know that we are lighting from 1 to 8 according to the school of Beit Hillel. We're following the idea of increasing the light, the increasing role of Hanukkah in our lives, the increasing finding meaning in these candles in dark times. At the same time, let's not forget Beit Shammai, who provides an alternative tale, an alternative lesson, which together creates a Hanukkah experience, which hopefully provides us with meaning and inspiration and light. By Yamim Hahem, just like in those times, Bazman Hazeh, also today.